and welcome back to my channel. And by the topic, I guess you already know, well, you already know what we're going to talk about today. So I've received so many questions on this topic, and that's why I decided to make this video. So we're going to dive right in. I hope your week has been good, and I hope at the end of this video you'll be able to get so many tips, or you'll be able to learn from my mistakes and do better in your Ielts. Just a quick backstory. I wrote my Ielts in July 2018, and I literally used less than 4 weeks to prepare because I had a lot of things going on. My convocation, I needed to work, so everything was just, my schedule was quite tight, so let's be honest. And Ielts is an English exam whereby different countries, or mostly UK, Australia and Canada, use it to test your proficiency in English. They just want to know that when you come here, you'll be able to talk with their local community, you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to grasp the culture easily. English is English, but it's not like something big that you say, oh, I cannot conquer this kind of thing. Ielts is actually easy if you learn the tips and the tricks, and if you humble yourself enough. So the reason why I wrote Ielts is because my school needed it. It was weird because most schools don't actually require it. I mean, you can actually, like, if you write to your school and say, oh, I have been examined in English, all my papers were marked in English, so this can prove that literally I can speak English very well. I had to send an email to the school I did my undergrad in to say, please could you send me a letterhead copy saying and vouching for me that I was examined and I was marked in English language. I did this and sent it to my uni, but they did not agree. They said for each and every course here we need to make sure that you know English very well. But I'm like, I'm from an English speaking country, but they didn't just budge. They just felt that this is a mandatory tax for every international student, regardless of your first language or things like that, unless you're a citizen. I know one of my friends that came from Nigeria, but because she was a citizen, she was mandated to do this exam. So I mean, it works for different people. I know I was literally having somewhat like a panic attack before my Ielts because I hated English with all my life. I know I speak English very well, but I just hated the subject. I hated the fact that we needed to do things like comprehension because the passages were too long, or they were too tiny, or I couldn't just, like, I'm a very restless person, so me sitting down for 60 minutes trying to read out stuff wasn't like my thing. I knew that I had less than 4 weeks to prepare, so I enrolled in a school. Now the school was a minimum of 6 weeks before your Ielts, but I could literally only do 4 weeks, and out of those 4 weeks, it was kind of inconsistent. I missed a few days because it was 3 days in a week. I missed a few days, but I feel the school really helped me. But when I go to the school in the morning, there will be so many people talking about how this one's results came out, these people, they failed, this Ielts is so hard, we can't do this, what's their problem? Like, just stay away from the naysayers, stay away from people that would tell you their opinions, tell you that that writing is hard. No, like, block your ears to it. I would literally come late or come 5 minutes to the class just so I can avoid all those pre-class talks because I hated it. I didn't know how to, because I knew that words kind of get. I'm a Christian, so I really believe, I'm not going to be myopic and say, oh, everybody that follows me is a Christian. But what I did was I had a scripture, and one of the things when I was doing this video, one of the scriptures that came to my mind is, now unto him who can do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. So I kept on saying, God, this power that is working in me, I know that you are able to do exceedingly and abundantly, but I need your hand. Like, I need you to press like a reset button or something that will trigger me to make sure that I passed. Because, like, as I've earlier said, I hated reading, I hated comprehension, I hated all of this exam, but I had to conquer my fears. I had to know my challenge. I needed to define the problem and figure out how to solve it in the 4 weeks that I had, in the space of 4 weeks, because I knew I needed to pass this exam, and this mountain, it must be moved. And that you need to be humble enough to learn. You need to be humble enough to know that this English language is not the same thing that I was doing in secondary school. Or although I wrote Cambridge, I had an idea of listening. I had an idea of all of these things. But IELTS is somewhat like a different ball game. Some people might be writing this exam to me great. I don't know how general it is, but I wrote the academic IELTS, and for me, the reading, the comprehension was quite different because I realized that to save time, because I only had 60 minutes, and some of them had 4 sections, so I needed to break out my time, know what I needed to spend. And most times I was going from question to passage, so I'll probably read like the first paragraph, but then after that I don't try to waste my time trying to understand it because it kills your time. So I just go from the question, try to find it in the passage. You need to know skimming, scamming, all those different reading techniques. You need to get yourself abreast with them because they would really help you a lot. I know that's what really helped me, and I was able to finish in due time because the whole exam is like 2 hours 30 minutes, and the speaking usually occurs before the day before, a few days before. They will send you an email before your proper IELTS exam, so just be on the watch out and just know that this thing, you must conquer it within this amount of time. So that will bring me to my next point, which is pace yourself. So one of the things I needed to do was pace myself. So probably 2 days in a week I'll pick reading, the remaining day I'll try writing, the other day I'll try speaking. All those different things helped me in pacing myself and making sure that I covered each and every aspect. I didn't say because I hated reading, I hated writing, or because I hated particular parts of the IELTS exam that I'm not going to focus on all other parts because I have it covered. No, I didn't do that. That's assuming that you have the power is something that you technically don't know, because you're not the one that write the exam, you're not the one that set the exam. Well, you're the one that will write the exam, but you're not the one that set the exam, if you know what I mean. So don't over assume, don't think that you know it all, because you don't. So I said, pace yourself, set timelines for yourself, make sure that you are on track. And even when I'm marking myself, so they are very I was grateful to God. So the thing is, you might be working, you might have different things that you're doing, and you might not focus on IELTS fully, but I beg you to. There are like cheap libraries around Lagos that you can probably go to. I stayed in Benin, so I tried to find like cheap libraries. There was a Catholic church that had a library, so that was really helpful to me, and it was like 5 minutes away from where I lived. And also in Lagos, there's a library on Awolowo Road. I think last I checked it was 200 naira. You get an ID card and you can use it freely. And there's also one in TerraCulture, I think, and there's one also in Lekki Phase 1, but it's like 3k. I don't know, it's quite expensive, but I mean, yeah. So I went to the library, I put myself in exam situations. I knew that when I was pacing myself, I was actually pacing myself. I would give myself 2 hours in a day, 3 hours in a day, as far as I had time, and just make sure that I scaled through. So let me show you guys one of the things that I used. So people might find this cliche, but when I was coming from Nigeria, I brought my rechargeable lantern. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like a Techno rechargeable lantern. Yeah. So to be honest, I know, just make sure that you are power packed. If it's for you to charge this, and make sure that even in the nights when there's no lights, you're reading, you're pacing yourself. That's fine. Different people have different timelines. Don't be afraid and say, I did not read today, or how. Don't allow fear to come in, because fear is a very deadly thing. The other thing we're going to be talking about is knowing your passmark. So for me, I knew that for whatever exam you need to, for whatever reason you are writing this IELTS exam, there's a passmark for it. For my school, it was you should not get less than 6.5 in any of the models and not get less than 7.0. So I knew I was working within a tightrope. And if you know IELTS, it's up to a band 9, and you actually need to get a very high score. I got a band 8 by the grace of God, and I say this by the grace of God because it was not by my power at all, because I hated these subjects. My parents always found it funny to either say I'm not reading or any of these things, because to be honest, I don't like reading when people are there. I don't know how to do it. So when either some people go to work or at night, when people are less quiet, like, don't see me when I'm putting the effort, just be like, oh my god, you passed, all those kind of things. Like I prefer it than for you to say, after all that reading, not still pass, all those kind of things. Because I realized, I knew that there was this particular woman, she was always saying how she read, how she's ready to slay, to smash it. I'm not saying that you should not say positive declarations, or don't say it in pride, especially when you don't know what's gonna happen. Just be preparing, just be focusing on yourself. There are lots of online materials, lots of online resources. So if you want to know like the structures of the exam, I'm going to put a link down below where you can actually go to the Ielts site and see for yourself and know what it entails, what each section expects from you. That's another thing. Know what each section expects from you, apart from the fact that you know the score that you need to get. So you need to keep pacing yourself. And one other thing that I did that really helped me was the marking guide for Ielts. I kind of used a higher one for myself. So let's say if band 7, if they say, oh, you must get 30 over 40 to get band 7, you must tell yourself you must get 35 over 40. So when you are marking yourself, you're marking yourself with that consciousness. So if you feel, at least maybe if you get 32 or 31, you know you're still in band 7, you know that you haven't fallen behind or fallen below that particular mark. That would really help a lot, because at the end of the day, you would know that you are kind of underestimating yourself, so that the exam will now overestimate all the work that you've put in, if that makes any sense. But that was what I did. The next thing is use online resources. Online resources really helps me a lot. So I used YouTube. It's funny because I didn't have data, so I would always put on my parents' hotspot. They never knew, but if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but every time they would just be complaining, my data is finishing, but it's actually me that is finishing it. But yeah, there are lots of online resources that you can use. It helps. That Silicon Valley girl, she had some videos on it. I mean, there's so many videos that you can watch online, and that would really help. Whatever resource you have access to right now, use it if it's within your means, because it can never amount to the amount that you paid for the exam. Does that make sense? It sounds weird, but for reading, speaking, writing, and listening, I used different techniques. So for listening, I would probably stay with someone that used to always annoy me or always talks a lot, and at the end of the conversation, I'll try to find out, okay, so what was this person saying? I'll try to follow the person through the gist, and it might sound weird, but it improved my listening skills. And also I don't know, but it also helps to watch British soap operas, because at the end of the day, the listening that you're going to listen to, they're British people. So always make sure that when you go into the exam hall, you get yourself void of every single distraction, and just make sure that you listen appropriately, because sometimes your mind might be distracted, or you're trying to follow a particular detail and then you forget. But then one part of the listening, one thing I like about it is that it follows a particular sequence. So if they're talking about something else and you have passed a particular point, forget about it. Just keep following the trend, and don't overstay in one question, because it's not good. You'll just be wasting your time, and it takes a very small time. And then for reading and for writing, I just made sure I exposed myself to more videos. I was watching more things. I would read the chapter of a book, try to summarize, because I knew that I hated that particular part of Ielts. So I made sure that much effort in doing all those different things. So last I got past this thing. So that was my mentality. It didn't matter how many hours I put, it didn't matter how many resources I had to do, or stay through boring British. I mean, all of them most are not boring, but I recommend The Crown because I watched it and I still learn a lot from it till today. And also for your speaking, you need to be broad-minded. You need to ask yourself different questions about sport, about entertainment, because sometimes they might put you on the spot. I know they were asking me a question about sports, the things that I did, different things like that. I don't like sports. I don't do sports. I'm a very unfit person. But I had to engage myself in those different topics, in those different practice materials, and make sure that I knew what this was about. I didn't just use basic words like if I say, this place is looking very fine, in my mind when I'm talking with my friends, I can be like, this has a scenic beauty, this is looking very picturesque, this aesthetics is beautiful. Like, I just used those different words that were kind of more professional, or you would get a higher band with using more words and not just basic words. So You're writing, always make sure that you stick to a particular idea in every paragraph. Don't just be putting different things into jumbling it up into one paragraph. I know you have so many ideas, but just try to restrict them as they are coming. Make sure there's a flow, make sure there's a sequence and the person can follow you. If you're reading something and you're telling, and the person is telling you, that's how I went to the hospital today, but the day before I went to blah blah blah, like you're finished narrating all of the things that happened in the hospital, then you're talking about the day before. Why don't you start with the day before, then talk about how you went to the hospital? Like, at that time, it's following the sequence, and the reader will be able to understand it clearly. And don't expect there to be a white person during your speaking. No, it's going to be a Nigerian, so don't be shocked. Don't over extremely prepare, because if you're a robot and they ask you a different question that is not in your like it's not in your system, that it's not in your system, you might just blank out. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to over prepare. So the night before your Ielts, just make sure that you had a chill night. You go through different things. Make sure you practice even till the time you enter the exam hall. Even if it's just for you to be reading different higher band words, it's good for you to practice on your speaking. Speaking is the day before, to practice on your listening, practice on your writing, on those different things. Just make sure that you're reading before you enter the exam. In Nigeria, I don't know, but in Lagos, traffic is nobody will want to hear traffic, this won't happen, because your time is going. So just make sure that if the exam is meant to be by 12, just make sure you are there by 11:30. It will help a lot, because you can chill, you can be in the examination mode, you can even sleep and wake up. Because if you're tense and you enter into the exam, you're sweating before your body gets used to the environment. It takes a long time. So just make sure that you go into the exam all way before the exam starts, and eat, because you will stand, you will walk, you will do all of that before they call your name, before you do this, the scenario is actually too much. So just make sure that you prepare your stomach, you prepare your head, you prepare every single thing before the exam, and I know that you will pass your Ielts exam with flying colors. I really hope this video helps you out, because I kind of poured my mind to it. This is not like, I won't tell you in every particular segment what you should do. I can try to link those videos down below, but what I'm telling you are just tips and tricks that helped me. If you're not fortunate enough to go to a class for 2 weeks or so, classes really help, because they kind of put you in that exam situation that you wouldn't put yourself in. If you're not able to do that, you can get a Barron's textbook, you can get a McGraw-Hill textbook, you can get any of those things. Those would help you also to put yourself in that exam situation, give you the tips and tricks. A testimony I got from my friend, she used Barron's and she came out with an 8.0. I mean, at the end of the day, I got a 7 point in writing, I got a 7 point in reading, and then I got a 9 in listening, and I got an 8 in speaking. So I mean, I conquered my fear. I was just 0.5 short of the 6.5 mark from my school, and I was extremely delighted. And my parents were shocked. Everyone was shocked, because they couldn't believe, you know what I'm saying, because they didn't see me preparing. I'm not the one that you will tell everybody, oh, I'm going to Canada, I'm going to this, I'm going to that, I'm going to the UK. Just keep it low. Before the exam, before the result came out, I was like, Jesus, I cannot feel. But at the end of the day, God showed himself mighty. I just kept on declaring scriptures upon myself. I just kept on saying, positive things to myself. Even when I felt like, when you come out of the exam and you're like, Jesus, what just happened? Another thing, please do not cheat in the exam. Like, it's so annoying. There were so many people that were cheating. And I personally don't cheat. I feel that if you're cheating, you're just robbing off your time, because the time is 2 hours 30 minutes, and if you're trying to get answers from another person, you really don't have time to focus on your own work, and you just be disturbing people around you. And somebody might be so pissed and so angry and actually call for the examiner to say, sorry, please, people are making noise. So yeah, always make sure that you ask your school if they need it. Always make sure you know what is expected from you while you are writing the exam. Conquer your fears, pace yourself, use online resources, invest in that examination so you do not write another examination, and always practice. Even if it's still like 5 minutes to the exam, always practice. You can never fail, because whatever you keep seeing, whatever you keep on seeing, you will be accustomed to it, and at the end of the day, it will help. It would show in your exam. Just cover your blessings for a while till when it's time, then everybody will be so shocked. So yeah, I hope this video has helped you in some way. So please put your comments. If you've written Ielts exam and you have any word of advice for people that might be watching this video now, I would love to see it. I would love to engage with you in the comment section. Just talk to me, you know. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, please help your girl and subscribe. And then remember to share this video with anyone that might be writing at the Ielts exam. I really do hope this helps you, and I can't wait to hear your testimonies when you're done. Yeah, so bye. I'm trying to see which earring is better, but I have no idea. Guys, no one is looking at me today. I'm so happy because like it's raining and I don't know, people are just busy. I'm just taking a break and to film a video for you guys, this video. So I really do hope you like it.